Welcome back, everybody. This is going to be the second installment of the Hobie PA360 build series. If you saw our first video, it was with the FPV distribution hub and the dual batteries that were running out of the back. Today we're going to be doing a fish finder install. With Hobie, it's really nice. They include a lot of equipment for you to install your own fish finder, and everything's pre-plumbed. So a lot of it is just running the wires and bolting on a transducer. With the Humminbird that we're going to be putting on, this is the Helix 7 with the side imaging and the down imaging. You do need to mount it to the bottom of the Guardian transducer plate so it can do a proper side imaging. Because of that, there's a little bit different install that you would do with this than you usually do with some of your Lowrances and other fish finders. Hobie is partnered with Lowrance, so those are always the easiest install, but any fish finder can be installed on the Guardian plate. Just takes a little bit of extra finagling. So we're going to jump right into it. This is the fish finder, and we're going to get it done. First things first, you want to bolt your fish finder to your fish finder mount, which this one we're using a ram dog bone, and then this headpiece does get mounted to the H-rail with the H-rail ball. And that's very easy. You unscrew it until you have enough space to snap it onto the ball, and then you tighten it up. And then that could be adjusted because it's on ball mounts and hinged forward, backwards, however you need it. And you can move it closer and further away with the H-rail mount. Alright, step one is going to be to remove the Guardian transducer plate from your Hobie. It's on the bottom, it's only 3 screws, so it's very easy. Alright, and here we have that Guardian transducer plate. Don't lose your screws. So this is the plate. The first thing that you're going to want to do with this plate is take off the screws that keep this pinned in one spot. So with the Guardian, you have the option of retracting the transducer back into the cavity of the boat. And you can't do that with these screws in here. So all of these have to come off. So that once your transducer is mounted, you can actually lift it up and away and into the cavity of the boat. So the next thing that you want to do is go into your kit of Hobie parts and pull out this transducer shield. So basically what this does is if you hit anything, it kind of rolls off to help protect your transducer. What's in it is this plate right here. So there's another 2 screws, and these are a little bit larger than the other ones that just came out, so you should be able to identify it pretty easy. This piece will slip into the Guardian transducer plate, like so, and you'll take your screws and reinstall them. So now you've got an open piece where your transducer can go through. From there, you're going to take a jigsaw or any other type of cutting utensil, and I line it up with these 2 notches here. And what I do is I cut from one side all the way through this. With the Humminbird transducer, the cable actually comes through the back. So, and it's much easier to do just a straight 2-line cut than it is to try and do a hole and just aim it. So we're going to do that and be right back. Alright, so the parts that you'll need for this after you've cut your initial hole are going to be your stock Hobie parts, which are going to be these 2 arms on the left and the right, and then for the Humminbird, there is a specific Humminbird kit that's from Hobie. So we do carry those in store. They're the Humminbird adapter kit, and that is going to be your drop-down arms here that go to the fish finder connection. So once you have those bolted on, you have something that can be on the bottom and pushed up and retracted into the cavity, pushed down and retracted into the cavity of the boat. The next step is going to be removing the transducer shield and running the transducer cable in through this Hobie port. So again, very easy. Everything's already been pre-plumbed. This does like to move because it's tied up to the transducer pull lever that's over here on the right hand side of the boat. But this will untie, and you do want to leave it on the pulley. But it'll untie, and you've got this little pulley system here, and this cord's going to tie to the cord that's on the inside of your transducer, or the transducer plate, the Guardian, and that is what's going to be pulling it up and down from the inside of your boat. You also need to remove all 3 screws for this triplet Hobie insert. And then something that you need to remember, or the best thing to do is just leave it there, is this rubber gasket. Just leave it where it is, because if you take it out, you'll often forget to put it back on after you've run your wires. You'll go to the bottom of the boat, feed up your transducer wire, and I like to get it all the way up here because it'll be easier to run the rest of it in just a second. And then that will go in through this port, and you can reach your arm in there from that center hatch and feed the rest of your cable through. And you do get a lot of cable, so the majority of this is going to be zip tied on the inside of the boat, so you don't have to worry about a lot of loose wire roaming around. Again, you're going to go to the bottom of the boat and you're going to take your 3 screws that you took out of your Guardian plate initially and mount the plate back to the bottom of the boat. If there's still wire down here, just keep pushing it up through the bottom of the boat until you can have the transducer plate sitting in the correct spot. So once you have that transducer plate on, the next thing you're going to do after your cord is completely out is attach the cable for the transducer shield to raise and lower. And to do this, smaller hands are going to help. If you could fit your hand into this hole, it's going to make it a little bit easier, but it's not an easy process. There's this arched piece of cable that's in there, and that is going to get tied to this. And you don't have a lot of room to do it. What I usually do is just 2 overhand knots. It's simple, it holds. I've never had a problem with it failing. So you kind of hold the transducer cord, or not the transducer cord, but the Guardian's cable, and make 2 overhand knots around it as best you can. And once you have tension on those and pull them tight, they should not come untied. And then once that's on, you can put your screw back in for this. So you're going to reinstall the screw to this plate. And then you should be able to give it a test and pull on your transducer cord to check and see if it's in the cavity of the boat. And next you're going to take the Hobie through-hole fitting and remove one of their little rubber pieces that keeps the water out, and you're going to replace it with whatever plug that Hobie provides in your Pro Angler kit that fits around your cable the most snug, just so it can still keep the water out. But this is going to feed inside of this, and your cord will go through there. So it's all pretty simple. Hobie's got a really streamlined process for this, but the idea will be to put this around the cable, feed it into there, and then snug it all back down with the screws that you took out in the first place. And then you do want to make sure that rubber gasket is on there and lined up with the screw holes that were already in there. Voila. Take your screws and replace them. Try not to lose track of your screws, because if you, more than likely what's going to happen is you'll drop one and it goes into the Guardian plate, and then you'll have to deconstruct what you've already done to get your screw back. Next, you're going to remove the 3-way fitting in the front, which again, just take out your 3 screws, quick and easy. Make sure that you remove the gasket, and you're going to take your transducer cable and feed it up through the hole. That easy. Then you're going to want to take your power cable and feed that into the hole and towards the front where your distribution hub is, which you should be able to reach very easily. Voila. And then what you're going to want to do is throw your gasket over the top of both these cables so you don't forget it. Find, again, your plugs that are going to work. And they also have plugs that fit 2 cables, or they have singles. So whichever you'd like to do, using 2 singles if those ones fit better, depending on the fish finder. But those will go and replace the rubber stoppers in the through-hole fitting. Pop onto the cables, and then you screw it all back in. And it's a really simple, convenient way to do a fish finder install, to have it all pre-done for you. Alright, from there you just want to make sure that you have enough length to get to your fish finder. You can pull cord through these fittings, you just have to do it very slowly or you'll pull the rubber fittings out. As long as it reaches, the last thing that you have to take care of is your excess wire, which all we're going to do is take a couple of zip ties, coil it up, and then shove it back inside the boat. And there's plenty of room in there, so if you have a hatch bucket or anything like that, you'll have more than enough room for your extra cable as well as your accessories. Alright, so you snug down the zip ties. We have that coiled up. We can stick that inside completely out of the way. And then you'll take your end fitting and your distribution hub and pick which place you want to have it, so that on your dial you can turn it on and off as you like. Or what a lot of people have been doing is putting it into the 1 or 2, which is always connected, since your fish finder itself has an on-off switch, and so you don't need to use your A, B, C, or D, which has an on-off switch built in. But undo it. They all have caps on them, so just take the cap off, plug the male end into the female, tighten it down. All of this stuff is waterproof. Snap it back onto the mast, and you're ready to go fishing. Last thing you got to do and test and see if it actually works. So hold the power button, and hopefully your fish finder turns on too. So if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram, and thanks for joining us for the second installment of our Hobie PA360 build series, and hopefully we'll have you around for the next one.